Nothing can stand in the way of millions of voices calling for change. But I do believe we can be silenced. The silence is captured in the moments when we sit back and watch damnation manifest itself in future generations, because we bought into a perception of nonsense that lied to us and told us that all we needed was voices, and opted not to send out the memo that they really meant action. Still deceiving you, relying on your ability to simply follow. Through action you lead, and for you and my actions I may indeed lead to my death, but the better question is, would it all be in vain? See, poets who were supposed to be the revolutionaries laughed at me constantly, spit in my face and said that my beliefs were simply naivete. So as I attempted to approach the root of the situation, momentarily I lost my focus as my heart began to fall out of love because of their love for serving self and the aesthetic. But see, I see through the surface, and I understand the need for attention to the scars that are rooted beyond the naked eye, because they consume and devour the child's chance at obedience in his conception into this trifling world. Imagine being beaten from birth, or fiending for a drug that you can't even fathom into existence, or an inability to comprehend what white social standards have deemed as the basics of education of the social norm by the age of 30, not considering that the disadvantaged points of poverty from which those who look like me were given is beginning to take its toll most blatantly. The emasculation of our black men has manifested itself even worse over time through us, so he exploits ready-made excuses that serve as real validation to him for leaving his seed to fiend for him or herself. He does not because he has not, and he has not been allowed to love freely, so he has yet to learn that he will never meet this man's standards because they are not natural to him. Regardless of his modern birth, ancestral blood streams through him daily, but he's taught to hate it, so he can't comprehend that the only necessary truth in order for real life is that he must define manhood according to his cultural confines, which are not relegated to Western ideology. However, this still exists as incomprehensible because such acknowledgement is the epitome of manhood, to know oneself and to accept it, and it's not his responsibility to provide a lifestyle in the upper middle class of 2 and 1/2 children to a housewife whose identity simply because of that role in itself, it's a disgrace for her to believe that that is her rightful position. And God didn't mean that when he said submit. They allow suburbia to diminish their realities and distance it from self. They're taught to run instead of fight against an establishment that seeks to abolish them, and it seeks to accomplish this by any means necessary, even if it's through widespread deception in the image of a biracial prodigy who exemplifies false hope and perpetuates the attitude of those who look like me that they should remain complacent. So here's to you, Mr. President. The truth is, we can never remain complacent because we're too far behind, not only according to society standards, but our own. Hundreds of years of non-existence cannot be compensated with bylaws whose underlying intent still exude blatant racism. Complacency must be obliterated.